First contact. The shimmering blue planet called Earth had its first alien encounter on a quiet Tuesday. The diplomatic vessel Starshine was patrolling the outer edges of the solar system when it detected an unusual energy signature. Lieutenant Jack Palmer sat at his communication station, eyes wide as the massive alien ship appeared seemingly out of nowhere. "Unknown vessel approaching," Jack reported, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Size approximately 3 times our own." Captain Olivia Wright nodded grimly. "Open communications. Let's not make any sudden moves." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being with iridescent skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. The alien spoke, its voice translated through the ship's computer into something resembling English. "Greetings, vessel from Sol 3. I am Ambassador Skatal of the Meridian species. We represent the Galactic Union and wish to establish peaceful contact." Over the next several hours, the crew of the Starshine learned that the Galactic Union consisted of 27 advanced species who had been watching Earth for decades. They had waited until humans developed faster-than-light travel before making contact, following their standard protocols for emerging civilizations. Jack, a brilliant linguist who spoke 12 Earth languages, was chosen to join the captain in boarding the alien vessel for the first official meeting. His reserved nature and analytical mind made him perfect for the delicate task of establishing communication protocols. "Your neural patterns are fascinating," said a tall, willowy alien scientist named Vexnor as she scanned Jack with a handheld device. "Quite unlike anything in our databases." Jack noticed how her upper appendages trembled slightly. Was it excitement or something else? The meeting chamber contained representatives from 7 Union species. They asked questions about Earth culture, government, and technology. Jack answered carefully, trying to present humanity in the best possible light. During a break in the discussions, Jack walked to a refreshment area where several alien scientists were huddled together, speaking in low tones. They didn't realize his translation device was still active. "The scanned results are concerning," one blue-skinned being whispered. "Their neural architecture allows for the anomaly we feared." "Should we report this to the High Council?" asked another. "These humans could be more dangerous than the legends suggest." They noticed Jack approaching and immediately fell silent, their expressions unreadable to human eyes. Yet something in their posture suggested alarm. Ambassador Skatal approached Jack later that day, after hours of discussions. "Lieutenant Palmer, your species has impressed us. The Union would like to extend an invitation for Earth to join our alliance." Jack felt pride swell in his chest. "That's wonderful news, Ambassador. Earth would be honored. There are, however, certain protocols we must establish," Skatal continued, 4 eyes blinking in an asynchronous pattern. "Monitoring systems must be installed on all human vessels. Certain sectors of Union space will remain restricted, and human crews must always include Union observers." The restrictions seemed odd to Jack. "May I ask why these precautions are necessary?" The ambassador's skin changed color slightly. Merely standard procedure for new species integration. But Jack had studied enough alien body language to recognize a lie. Something about humans frightened these advanced beings. 6 months later, as Earth celebrated its formal induction into the Galactic Union, Jack sat alone in his apartment reviewing the security protocols. Every restriction seemed designed to contain rather than protect. Every regulation appeared aimed at monitoring human activity rather than facilitating cooperation. In his official report to Earth government, Jack wrote one line that would later prove prophetic. "They fear something about us they refuse to name, an ability they believe humans possess that no other species in the galaxy dares to mention." The most extensive restrictions all involved one thing: limitations on humans working together in large groups during crisis situations. Jack couldn't understand why, but he would soon learn the truth, and why the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy trembled at the thought of humanity unleashed. 5 years had passed since first contact. Humans now had colonies on 3 planets within Union space. The transition had been smooth overall, But strange patterns emerged that caught the attention of Dr. Lisa Wells. Lisa worked as a xenobiologist at the Union Research Institute on New Terra, the largest human settlement outside Earth. Her job involved studying alien biology and helping humans adapt to different planetary environments. She was dedicated and observant, which made her notice things others missed. Her alien colleagues behaved oddly around humans. They worked efficiently but kept their distance. When project teams formed, the aliens made excuses to avoid working alone with humans for extended periods. At first, Lisa thought it might be cultural differences or simple caution around a new species. That theory collapsed when she befriended Vexlor, a Solarian scientist with translucent skin who studied cellular regeneration. They worked well together, and after months of collaboration, Vexlor seemed to relax around her. One evening, while they analyzed data from their latest experiment, Lisa decided to ask directly about the behavior she had observed. "Vexlor, can I ask you something personal?" Lisa turned away from her screen. "Why do most aliens seem uncomfortable working closely with humans?" Vexlor's skin flickered with blue patches, a sign of nervousness in Solarians. "I'm not uncomfortable around you, Lisa. I know that. But others are. Even you were at first." Lisa leaned forward. "Is there something about humans that bothers other species?" Vexlor was quiet for a long moment. "You possess an ability that concerns us." Lisa blinked in surprise. "What ability?" "Our technology is primitive compared to most Union species." "It's not technology," Vexlor said softly. "It's something inherent to your species, something no other intelligent race has developed." When Lisa pressed for details, Vexlor changed the subject and soon made an excuse to leave the lab. The conversation bothered Lisa enough that she began keeping a journal of strange interactions. She noticed how Union officers watched human crews with a mixture of fascination and fear. She saw how alien scientists rejected human suggestions for solving problems, not because the ideas were bad, but because they involved approaches aliens considered impossible. Most telling was her discovery that certain Union species had developed technology specifically designed to counter what they called human influence. These devices were kept secret from humans, but mentioned in restricted files Lisa accessed through her research clearance. 2 months after her conversation with Vexlor, Lisa attended a conference on space medicine. During a break, she overheard 2 alien physicians talking in a side corridor. "The human resistance to quantum limitation fields is unprecedented," one said. "Their minds simply reject established boundaries." "It's dangerous," replied the other, "if they ever fully understand what they can do, especially in groups." They spotted Lisa and immediately stopped talking. That evening, Lisa contacted an old friend from Earth's space program, Navy Captain Paul Garcia. His patrol vessel Horizon monitored the borders of Union space. Over a secure channel, she shared her observations. "Something's not right, Paul. They're hiding something from us about our own biology or psychology." Paul's expression was serious on the screen. "I've noticed similar things on the horizon. My alien crew members get nervous during crisis simulations. Last week, Admiral Xanthar told me humans perform statistical impossibilities under pressure. When I asked what he meant, he changed the subject." Lisa tapped her stylus against her desk. "We need to find out what this is about. They fear something we can do, something they believe is dangerous." "Be careful," Paul warned. "The Union monitors all human communications. If this is as serious as it seems, they won't want us figuring it out." Lisa nodded, unaware that her investigation would soon intersect with a crisis that would reveal the truth about humanity's most fearsome ability and change the Galactic Union forever. Captain Paul Garcia stood on the bridge of the patrol vessel Horizon, watching the stars through the main view screen. The ship patrolled the outer edge of Union space, an assignment many considered boring. Paul didn't mind. It gave him time to think about the strange messages Lisa had been sending about alien behavior toward humans. "Captain, we're detecting unusual energy readings," said Lieutenant Susan Kelly from the sensor station. "Nothing in our database matches the pattern." Hall moved to her station. Location: just beyond Sector 47, sir. It's massive and moving toward Union space. Paul ordered the Horizon to investigate. As they approached, the sensors detected not one ship, but a fleet of vessels unlike any in Union records. Their design was angular and dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. "Incoming transmission," announced Communications Officer Ben Rivera. The view screen flickered to show a being with pale, almost translucent skin stretched over a bony face. Its eyes were completely black. "We are the Voidborn," it said in a voice that seemed to echo. "Your territory is now ours. Surrender or be eliminated." Before Paul could respond, the lead Voidborn ship fired. The energy beam cut through the Horizon's shields like they weren't there. "Shields down to 20%, shouted Defensive Systems Officer Maria Diaz. "That's impossible. Our shields are Union standard." The ship rocked with another hit. Paul grabbed his chair to stay upright. The 4 alien Union members on his bridge crew looked at each other in terror. "It's the Voidborn," whispered Science Officer Zrel, a gray-skinned Tildurian. "They're said to be invincible. No one has ever survived their attacks." Paul ignored him. "Evasive maneuvers. Return fire with everything we have." The Horizon twisted away from the next attack, plasma cannons firing back at the Voidborn vessels. Their shots seemed to do little damage. "Captain, we should retreat," urged First Officer Kreltex. "The Union protocols for encountering superior forces clearly state." "We're not retreating," Paul said firmly. "Send a warning to all Union outposts. Then target their weapon systems specifically." For 30 minutes, the Horizon fought against overwhelming odds. Systems failed across the ship, casualties mounted. The alien crew members repeatedly suggested surrender, but the humans refused. "Captain, this is illogical," Kreltex said as another blast rocked the ship. "We cannot win. The probability of survival is less than 0.02%. Paul looked around at his human crew. Despite injuries and exhaustion, they continued working, finding solutions, refusing to give up. "Lieutenant Kelly, what about that energy fluctuation you noticed in their lead ship?" Paul asked. "Sir, I think it's their power core. It shows instability when they fire their main weapon." "That's our target. Maria, divert all remaining power to weapons. We're going to hit that fluctuation the next time they fire." Kreltex shook his head. "Captain, the statistical probability." "I don't care about statistics," Paul snapped. "We're going to survive this." The Voidborn ship approached for what would surely be the killing blow. Paul gave the order to wait until the enemy weapon powered up, then strike. The timing was perfect. The Horizon's remaining plasma cannon hit the Voidborn ship precisely as its weapon charged. There was a blinding flash as the enemy vessel exploded, damaging 2 nearby Voidborn ships. The remaining Voidborn vessels suddenly retreated, disappearing as quickly as they had appeared. Silence fell over the bridge. The human crew members exchanged exhausted smiles, while the alien crew stared in disbelief. 3 days later, after the Horizon limped back to the nearest Union station, Admiral Xanthar requested a private meeting with Paul. "You did the impossible," the Admiral said, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "No one survives a Voidborn attack." "We got lucky," Paul replied. Admiral Xanthar studied him for a long moment. "No, Captain. It wasn't luck. Now you see why we fear what humans can do. Your kind simply doesn't accept impossibility. And somehow, reality bends to match your belief." Lisa Wells and Paul Garcia met in a quiet corner of the Union Station's garden dome. Palm trees and exotic flowers from a dozen worlds surrounded them, offering privacy from listening devices. "The Admiral practically admitted they're afraid of us," Paul said, keeping his voice low. "Something about humans not accepting impossibility." Lisa nodded. "That matches what I've been hearing. But what does it actually mean? What can humans do that scares them so much?" They agreed to form a research team. Lisa recruited Nickel Reed, a brilliant psychologist who studied cross-species mental differences. Paul brought in Alan Foster, a data analyst from the Horizon who had a knack for finding patterns others missed. For weeks, they gathered information from across Union space. They interviewed humans who worked closely with aliens, collected stories of strange reactions, and analyzed Union regulations concerning human activities. They met in Lisa's apartment on New Terra to review their findings. Alan had created a wall display showing their data organized by categories. "Look at these patterns," Alan said, pointing to a cluster of incidents. "Every time humans have faced a crisis situation the aliens considered hopeless, the aliens reacted with fear when humans refused to give up." Nicole studied the psychological reports she had compiled. The common factor seems to be our emotional response to impossible odds. Aliens call it dangerous delusion, but humans just call it hope or determination. But why would hope scare them? Lisa wondered. Every intelligent species must have some version of it. Not like ours, Nicole explained. "I've analyzed the neurological data. When aliens encounter what they perceive as impossible odds, their brains accept the limitation. When humans face the same situation, our brains actually reject the limitation as unacceptable." Paul paced across the room. "Are you saying we're just stubborn? That doesn't explain why they're afraid of us." Alan tapped his tablet, bringing up new information on the wall display. "I found something in the ancient Union texts. They mention a theoretical species with dangerous perception manipulation, a species that could alter probability through sheer force of will." The room fell silent as they considered the implications. "They think we can change reality just by believing we can succeed?" Lisa finally asked. "Not exactly," Nicole replied. "But what if our refusal to accept defeat actually does influence outcomes? What if human determination creates a statistical anomaly that other species can't produce?" To test their theory, they designed simple experiments. They had humans and aliens attempt tasks labeled impossible by Union standards. The results were striking. Humans consistently performed better when told something couldn't be done. Even more surprising, aliens working alongside determined humans also showed improved performance. Alan analyzed the data from Paul's battle with the Voidborn. The probability of the Horizon surviving that encounter was virtually zero. Yet not only did you survive, you damaged their fleet. "And the alien crew members witnessed it all," Paul added. "No wonder they looked shocked." Lisa pulled up files she had accessed from restricted Union archives. According to this, Union scientists believe humans unconsciously generate a probability field that increases the likelihood of success in situations where failure should be certain. "That's why they monitor us so closely," Nicole realized. "They think we're unknowingly warping reality around us." The team sat in silence, processing the extraordinary conclusion. Humans weren't just stubborn or optimistic. Our minds literally rejected limitations that other species accepted as absolute. "The question is," Paul said finally, "why keep this secret from us? Why not tell humans what we can do?" "Because they're afraid of what might happen if we learn to control it," Lisa answered. "Imagine if humans could consciously direct this ability." Alan looked at the data one last time. "They've been containing us, limiting how many humans work together in crisis situations. They're afraid of what might happen if too many humans collectively refuse to accept failure." None of them realized how soon their theory would be tested, or how right they were. The emergency alert woke Lisa at 3 in the morning. Red warning symbols flashed on her apartment's main screen. Union-wide HFY alert. All research personnel report to stations. She dressed quickly and rushed to the research institute. The halls were filled with aliens and humans moving with purpose, faces grim. Director Mavler, normally composed, paced nervously in the main conference room. "The Voidborn have returned," the director announced when everyone assembled. "Not just a single ship this time. A fleet of over 500 vessels has crossed into Union space. 3 border outposts have already fallen. Holographic displays showed the invasion progress. The Voidborn advanced methodically, their black ships cutting through Union defenses like they were nothing. Casualty reports scrolled across secondary screens. The Union Defense Council is meeting in 1 hour, Mavlor continued. All research on Voidborn technology must be prioritized. Lisa noticed how the alien staff kept glancing at their human colleagues, not with the usual caution, but with something that looked like desperate hope. She contacted Paul through a secure channel. His face appeared, tired and worried. "It's bad, Lisa. The Horizon has been ordered to the front lines, along with every available ship. The Union forces are following standard defensive protocols, but they're suffering devastating losses. Standard protocols won't work against the Voidborn," Lisa said. "They need to try something different." 2 days later, Lisa's team was summoned to the Union Central Command on New Terra. The massive dome structure housed emergency operations for the entire sector. Screens showed the advancing Voidborn fleet, now less than a week from reaching major population centers. Admiral Xenthar stood before the gathered Union representatives, his normally blue skin pale with stress. "The conventional response has failed. The Voidborn adapt to each strategy we deploy." "What about the human ships?" someone called out. "The Horizon survived an encounter." Murmurs spread through the room. Lisa recognized the fear in many alien faces. Admiral Xenthar cleared his throat. "I propose allowing humans unrestricted involvement in our defense operations." The room erupted in objections. "Unacceptable," shouted a representative from the Meridian species. "You know the danger they pose. More dangerous than the Voidborn," the Admiral countered. Counselor Drenvax, an elder from one of the founding Union species, rose slowly to speak. The room fell silent. "I have studied humans since their discovery," he said, his voice thin but clear. "What we fear about them is precisely what we need now. The humans don't just believe they can win. They make winning possible." Lisa stepped forward, seeing her chance. "My team has been researching the effect you're describing. Human determination isn't illusion. It's a cognitive ability that may influence probability fields at a quantum level." The Union representatives stared at her in shock. No one had expected humans to discover the truth. "You know," Counselor Drenvax asked. "We figured it out," Lisa replied. "And we've been studying how it works. The effect strengthens when humans work together toward a common goal. If you want to stop the Voidborn, you need to stop containing us and start utilizing what we can do." Nickel stepped forward with data displays. "Our research shows that alien crews working alongside humans show increased success rates in crisis situations. The probability field can extend to non-humans." The council debated for hours. Many feared that unleashing human abilities might prove more dangerous than the Voidborn themselves. Others argued they had no choice. Finally, Counselor Drenvax called for a vote. "We face extinction. We can either maintain our restrictions on humans and certainly perish, or embrace their unique ability and possibly survive." The vote passed by a narrow margin. Humans would be given command of key defensive operations. The restrictions on human cooperation during crisis would be temporarily lifted. As the meeting ended, Admiral Xenthar approached Lisa. "I hope we haven't just replaced one threat with another." "We want the same thing you do," Lisa assured him. Survival. What no one mentioned was what might happen after the crisis, when thousands of humans learned to consciously control an ability that could reshape reality itself. Captain Paul Garcia stood on the bridge of the Horizon, which now led the combined human-alien fleet against the Voidborn. The Union Council had restructured the command system, placing humans in charge of all major tactical decisions. The alien officers followed their orders with visible anxiety. "Status report," Paul called out as the fleet approached the Voidborn position near Proxima Station. "Voidborn fleet holding formation," reported Lieutenant Kelly. "Their ships outnumber ours 3-1. Paul studied the tactical display. Union battle doctrine would recommend a defensive posture, gradually wearing down the enemy from a safe distance. But Paul had a different idea. "We're going to split our forces," he announced. 3 attack groups approaching from different vectors. The alien tactical officer, Zrel, looked alarmed. "Captain, dividing our forces contradicts all Union tactical models. The probability of success is better than you think," Paul interrupted. "Humans have a saying. Sometimes you need to roll the dice." The fleet separated according to Paul's orders. The Voidborn, accustomed to the predictable responses of Union forces, seemed momentarily confused by the unorthodox approach. As the battle commenced, Lisa and her team monitored the situation from a research vessel near the rear of the formation. They had convinced the Union to allow them to study the human effect during combat. "Energy readings are fascinating," Nichols said, examining the data flowing across her screen. "The human ships are showing quantum fluctuations unlike anything in Union records." Alan nodded, watching his own displays. "And look at this. Alien crews serving under human commanders are experiencing the same effect. Their ships are performing beyond design specifications." The battle unfolded in ways no Union tactical computer could have predicted. Human commanders took risks that alien strategists considered suicidal. Yet, somehow these maneuvers succeeded more often than not. When ships were damaged, human engineers found solutions that alien experts had deemed impossible. "They're adapting," Lisa observed, watching the Voidborn response. "They don't understand why their usual tactics aren't working." On the horizon, Paul directed the battle with calm determination despite the chaos around him. His ship had taken heavy damage, shields failing, hull breaches on 3 decks, engines operating at minimal capacity. By all reasonable assessment, the Horizon should have withdrawn or surrendered. "Sir," said Zrel, his voice shaking, "we cannot continue. The ship's structural integrity is below safe parameters." Paul looked around at his human crew members. Despite injuries and exhaustion, none showed any sign of giving up. "We're not done yet," Paul replied firmly. "Reroute emergency power to weapons. We're going to hit their command ship directly." The alien crew stared in disbelief. What Paul suggested wasn't just dangerous. It was, by their understanding of physics and probability, impossible. The Horizon could not reach the Voidborn command ship with its damaged engines, could not penetrate the enemy's defenses with its failing weapons, could not survive the approach. Yet, as Paul gave the order, something remarkable happened. The alien crew members, after weeks of working alongside humans, began to feel something new, a sense that perhaps impossibility was more flexible than they had been taught. "Adjusting course," said the Tellurian navigator, his voice steadier than before. As the Horizon moved toward the Voidborn command ship, other human-led vessels joined the attack. The Voidborn, unable to comprehend the humans' refusal to accept defeat, began making tactical errors. Back on the research vessel, Lisa's team detected an expanding field of quantum probability distortion centered on the human ships but spreading throughout the fleet. "It's working," Lisa whispered as she watched the data. "The humans aren't just fighting the Voidborn. They're changing what's possible." The battle raged for hours. Ships were lost on both sides. But the human-led forces, continuing to fight long past what Union tactical computers considered the point of certain defeat, pushed the Voidborn back from the core Union systems. When it ended, the survivors could hardly believe what they had accomplished. The Voidborn fleet, thought to be invincible, retreated into deep space, and the Union species looked at their human allies with new understanding and deepened fear. In the weeks following the Voidborn retreat, the Union headquarters on New Terra became the center of intense scientific activity. Teams of researchers worked around the clock, analyzing data from the battle. Lisa's team had been given a dedicated research wing, their status elevated from fringe theorists to priority scientists overnight. "The evidence is undeniable," Lisa explained to the gathered Union Science Council. The room was filled with the most brilliant minds from 27 species. Humans possessed the ability to influence probability at a quantum level. She displayed the battle data on the large holographic projector. Colorful patterns showed energy fluctuations around human ships during critical moments of the conflict. "What you're seeing isn't random," Nicole added. "When human crews faced situations they refused to accept as hopeless, these energy patterns appeared. The more determined the humans, the stronger the effect." An elderly Solarian scientist raised a trembling hand. "Are you suggesting humans can consciously control this ability?" "Not yet," Lisa replied. "Most humans don't even know they're doing it. It happens naturally when we refuse to give up in the face of impossible odds." The council chambers buzzed with concerned whispers. The implications were enormous. In a separate branch of the research facility, Alan had made an even more startling discovery. He had been granted access to ancient Union archives, normally restricted to all but the highest-level researchers. "You need to see this," he told Lisa and Nicole when they joined him. "I found references to humans in records dating back 12,000 years." He displayed translations of the ancient texts. The others leaned forward, reading with growing amazement. "The Union encountered humans before," Nicole whispered. "How is that possible?" Alan pointed to specific passages. "According to these records, a Union exploration team discovered a primitive human settlement on Earth during the early development of our species. They observed humans accomplishing tasks that should have been impossible for their technology level." Lisa read further. "It says the High Council ordered a quarantine of Earth until humans developed sufficient wisdom to control their ability. The quarantine ended when we achieved space travel," Alan concluded. "They decided we were ready for contact." The three looked at each other, processing this revelation. Humans had been isolated not because we were primitive, but because we were dangerous. Meanwhile, in the medical wing, Paul underwent treatment for injuries sustained during the battle. Union doctors had been astonished by his recovery rate. "Your cells show unusual regenerative properties," Dr. Vexnor told him during an examination. "Consistent with the probability manipulation theory." "You're saying I'm healing because I believe I should?" Paul asked skeptically. "Not consciously," the doctor replied. "But on some level, your species refuses to accept limitations that other beings recognize as fixed. You don't just hope to recover. Your mind creates conditions where recovery becomes more probable." Later that day, Union scientists confirmed what they had long suspected. Humans unconsciously bend probability. The ability wasn't magic, but a quantum-level influence on reality that occurred when humans refused to accept limitations. Lisa developed a theory that throughout human history, our greatest achievements resulted from this ability. The seemingly impossible feats of human endurance, invention, and perseverance weren't just the result of determination. They were examples of humans literally changing what was possible. The Union Council debated for days about what to do with this knowledge. Some advocated for renewed restrictions on human activities. Others argued that humans had proven themselves worthy allies. "The question isn't whether humans have this ability," Councillor Drenvac said during a closed session. "The question is whether they have the wisdom to use it responsibly." The debate grew more urgent when Nicole discovered something concerning in her research. The human ability appeared to be strengthening. As more humans became aware of what they could do, the effect was becoming more pronounced and more controllable. "They're evolving," she told Lisa privately, "learning to direct what was once unconscious." Lisa nodded slowly. "The real question is, are we ready for that responsibility?" Neither had an answer, but they knew that humanity stood at a turning point, one that would determine our place in the galaxy for millennia to come. 1 year after the Voidborn War, the landscape of human-alien relations had transformed completely. Humans had become respected members of the Galactic Union, though still carefully monitored. The Union-Human Cooperation Treaty established clear guidelines for human involvement in Union affairs, balancing the need for human abilities with safeguards against unintended consequences. Lisa Wells stood at the window of her new office, watching ships arrive at the New Terra spaceport. As director of the Human Potential Research Division, she led the study of human probability manipulation and its ethical applications. The view from the top floor of the Union Sciences Building never failed to impress her. a daily reminder of how far humans had come in just 6 years. The door opened, and she turned to see Paul Garcia enter. Now Admiral Garcia, he commanded the Union's new mixed human-alien rapid response fleet. "The others are here," Paul said with a smile. Conference Room 3. Lisa nodded and followed him down the corridor. In the meeting room waited Nicole Reed and Alan Foster, who had become key figures in human-union relations. Lieutenant Jack Palmer, the linguist from First Contact, who now served as Earth's ambassador to the Union, completed the group. "Feels like old times," Lisa said as she took her seat. "Except now we're not hiding in my apartment." They laughed, but there was a weight to their gathering. Today marked the anniversary of the battle that revealed humanity's true nature to the galaxy. "The training program is showing excellent results," Paul reported. "Mixed human-alien crews are demonstrating increased effectiveness in crisis situations. The aliens are learning to tap into the probability field humans generate." Nicole nodded. "The psychological barriers are the hardest to overcome. Most Union species evolved to perceive absolute boundaries in reality. Teaching them to challenge those boundaries goes against millennia of instinct." "What about the concerns some council members raised?" Jack asked. "About humans becoming too powerful." Ellen displayed data on the room's screen. "We've been transparent with our findings. Yes, humans can influence probability, but there are natural limitations. The effect requires genuine belief and determination. It can't be faked or forced." Most importantly, Lisa added, "We've shown that our ability works best when used for survival or protection, not conquest or control. The data is clear. Selfish applications produce weaker effects." They discussed the latest research for another hour. The science was fascinating, but all of them understood that the true challenge wasn't technical but ethical. Humans now carried an extraordinary responsibility. As the meeting concluded, Jack brought up the question that had haunted them all year. "Do you think they made the right decision, letting us know what we can do?" The room fell silent for a moment. "I believe they had no choice," Lisa finally said. "The void-born threat forced their hand. But knowing was inevitable. Humans have always pushed boundaries. We would have discovered it eventually. The important thing," Paul added, "is that we're approaching this with respect for its power. The Union feared humans would abuse this ability if we knew about it. We need to prove them wrong." They stood together at the window, looking out at the bustling spaceport where human and alien ships docked side by side. Somewhere out there, the Voidborn remained, a reminder that greater threats might still await. "It's ironic," Nicole observed. "The most fearsome human ability turned out to be hope. Our refusal to accept defeat even when logic says we should." "Not just hope," Alan corrected gently. "Action backed by hope. We don't just believe the impossible is possible. We work to make it happen." Jack smiled. "That's the part they still don't fully understand. To them, it looks like reality bending. To us, it's just being human." As the five friends parted ways, each returning to their role in shaping humanity's new place in the universe, Lisa thought about the ancient Union records Alan had discovered. 12,000 years ago, aliens had quarantined Earth because they feared what humans might become. Now they knew. Humans weren't conquerors or destroyers. We were possibility makers, reality shapers, bringing hope where there was none. Our greatest power wasn't technology or strength, but our stubborn refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible. The most fearsome human ability had become humanity's greatest gift to the stars.